with the McQuestion companies. I'm joined this morning by our principal, Rella Foliano. I want to welcome everyone. This project has been a vision of so many people over the last 3 years, and it's really coming to fruition now. And it's really a collaboration of city, state, and county government in a very real way. The person who really made this the entree, who really said to us, come make this happen, and he's done it so much because it's one of the fastest growing cities in the state of New York, is my dear friend, Mayor Mike Spano. Now, Michael and many of you know I worked for the city government for more than 20 years. And at last point, I was the downtown development manager for the city of Yonkers. I worked very closely with our entire team, including our director of community relations at the time, Andrea Stewart-Cousins. And we worked together all these years. And for me to come back to Yonkers, the place I was born and bred, is so heartwarming and so emotional. I have to tell you, it's an incredible experience. You know, in the Bible, under Isaiah 61, they say, from beauty comes the ashes, and from ashes comes the beauty. This is an example of that. This is a site that is contaminated and will be remediated. We've already begun that process. This is a site that was dysfunctional and created problematic behaviors. This is a site that was underutilized. This is a site that unfortunately needed to be desperately be revitalized for people with affordable rents, because the job creation in New York State is great, but the housing creation is not. We need to catch up, as the governor's made that point in her proposals for the compact and others. So transit-oriented development, well, that's a key component of what we're doing. We're a block away from the transit center. It's a beautiful thing. So people won't even need a vehicle. Between rideshare, between mass transit, between the brand new station, you have it all here. And then the beautiful RXR building across the street. This city is really an incredible success story. And that person who, in my estimation, having been a resident of Yonkers so many years, is without a doubt the greatest mayor in the history of the city of Yonkers. I want to introduce to you Mr. Mike Spano.
I need it. You know, I love you, Joe. I really do. Well, you put an awful lot of pressure on me. Governor Hochul, love seeing you, especially when you're in Yonkers. The Majority Leader, good to see you as well. And, our county executive and members of the Assembly and the Senate that are here. This is a great day for us here in Yonkers because it's another groundbreaking on a very interesting plot of property. And I was walking around before saying, wasn't there a comedian that had his family's diner on this spot? And I can't remember his name. It was it's a mad, mad world and all. And I sat down and I looked over and I saw Sid Caesar Way. So Sid Caesar, right? Was that good? Yonkers resident, right? This was a plot of where his family business was. So, and we dedicated, Governor dedicated the street in his name a few years back. But as we have cleaned up and revitalized our city, and we've done a lot with the help of certainly our state government, which has helped us, along with some help from the federal government and local and private developers, where we've been able to clean up what was the old factory sites on the water's edge and build nice housing, right? Beautiful housing, so people could really enjoy the view of the Palisades, enjoy access to the Hudson River. And we wanted to make sure that while we were putting all this housing here, that when the tide goes up in that water, that all of the boats go up with it. And the only way to do that is to provide for affordable units, because we want to make sure that for the people who've lived here my whole life, I never had access. I was brought up in this neighborhood. I never had access to the Hudson River, and now I do. But we wanted to make sure that they weren't priced out and forced out of the community. And we're not seeing that, because 22% of all of the 22,000 new units that have been okayed for Yonkers are affordable. And I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for the help from the governor, because without that support that we're getting from the governor and from our state delegation led by the Senate Majority Leader, these projects couldn't happen, because we frankly could not afford to make them happen. But with their help, we have been. And with the fact that we have the Metro North just down the road in walking distance, or the Beeline bus system, which is right here, all that will help for this to make even a better place for working families to want to live, work, and raise a family. So thank you. Thank you to McQuestion, Arella, my good friend Joe. Joe and I have been friends our whole life. To our county executive, thank you, and our legislators that are here. To the New York State Homes and Community Renewal, especially the commissioner, thank you for your support. Of course, our delegation, which led by Senate Majority Leader and our great Governor Hochul, for what you've done, because you have helped inspire this city, you've helped move this city in a great direction. You've helped make this city, really, when people talk about a city that's revitalized, and a city that is just moving forward, a city that's a real story of success, one of the most diverse cities of its size in all of America. And we have showed we can make it work. And we hope that the rest of the country will follow our lead. And thank you, as I see everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, we did promise a quick program, and it will be quick, even though it's kind of nice to hang out here right now and feel the warmth. I want to take the opportunity to introduce a gentleman who is one of the most prolific commercial real estate brokers in this region, particularly in Rockland County and in Westchester County, and someone whose political advice we're always well to take, because he's one of the smartest political advisors I have ever met, Mr. Paul Adler. Paul, would you come forward? Go for it. You made it.
Thank you, Joe. And Joe read that just as I wrote it. So I'm so delighted that you did that. What a great day. The sun is always shining in Yonkers. And when you look around and you see what this city has become, Joe was right on point. Mayor Mike Spano, his team, the council, the state legislators, and his administration have transformed this city back into the city of gracious living, which is what it has always been called. But you take a look at what's happened here. The most popular bird in Westchester and particularly in Yonkers is the crane. It is up everywhere, building this city up, doing what it needs to have happen here. This city for far too long was probably the greatest asset on the Hudson River, and when you look around, it has become accessible for all. And that's the hallmark of the Spano administration. From stem to stern, from the Hudson River all the way over to the Mount Vernon border and northern Westchester, Yonkers is really the place to be. And in fact, it is the only city in the state of New York growing in population and whose school district has just jumped ahead of everywhere else, doing great work, and that is really telling in terms of what's going to happen, how this city's going to continue to grow under Mike Spano's leadership. When you look at this corner, you have to wonder how amazing Rella Fogliano and Joe Apicella really are. They could look at a corner like this, and even the greatest real estate broker of all time, we could walk by this corner and you could say, well, what the hell could they do here? And Rella Fogliano and Joe Apicella have a vision But a lot of developers have vision. But their vision is always tailored with dignity and acceptance and brings people together in such an important way. If you look at what they build, it's just not an affordable housing project. It's an affordable housing project that anyone would want to live in. It makes people understand that affordability and having some financial constraints is not to be looked down on, but Rella and Joe look rather to lift people up. And you do a wonderful job, and it is always an honor to be with both of you. So we're in the greatest county, don't tell anybody in Rockland, we're in the greatest county in the country. And if you look around, Mike Spano, Leader Cousins, I mean, just to think about the fact that the leader of the great upper chamber of the legislature, the Senate in the state of New York, right? Well, you know that, right? When you look around, and how fortunate are we to have the leader of the New York State Senate hail right here from Yonkers. That's extraordinary. And then George Latimer and Ken Jenkins, they got like this easy job. It's like the best county in the whole country. You know, sometimes they vie against that Orange County in California, like Beverly Hills is over there, not Yonkers. But they do that, so they're like just doing it with their eyes closed. That's how well they're doing it. But I have a real distinct honor and pleasure to introduce somebody who took over the leadership of this state when it was in crisis, who took over this state and managed to marshal the talent and the forces to bring New York back as the Empire State, someone who made it quite clear that her government would lead and that she wouldn't be swayed by what the snap polling had to say. And when this governor embarked on a housing program that some people said was too ambitious, some people said didn't work here, worked over there, not sure about it, what this governor did was opened up a national dialogue and has become the leading voice on housing in this country. It is an existential threat to this state. Without housing, the jobs that she's created, that her administration has created, will go nowhere in this state. They'll go elsewhere where other people are building housing. And when this housing program may have hit some detours along the way, this governor, like my GPS getting me here today, recalculated. And it repositioned the governor. And through the force of the bully pulpit, this governor has taken the need for housing, market, affordable, luxury, alternative, supportive, you name the type of housing, she's been open to it. She has taken communities and brought them along and said, we will encourage you to do the right thing because people need to be able to live here. And the governor so poignantly speaks about how devastating it is for families to raise kids. The greatest asset we spend is raising kids, school taxes and property taxes, and doing it, and then only to have your children move away from you. Because, not because they want to, but because they have to, they can't afford to live here. It's terrible. This governor has led on housing, she's led on the environment, she's led on transportation, led on health care, and has opened a channel of compassion and caring that makes her and distinguishes her as one of the great governors of the Empire State. Ladies and gentlemen, the 57th governor of the state of New York, the Honorable Kathy Hochul.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Paul, after that incredible introduction, I'm really glad your GPS got you to the right corner here. So thank you for the introduction. What I've been talking about since I became governor is what we're talking about here today. Is seeing spaces like this, ignored, neglected, underutilized, blight, sort of a haunting reminder of the glorious days of past in this great city, this city of gracious living. Picture yourself in a couple years, those lucky enough to live in this space, grabbing a cup of coffee, reading the newspaper, read some, not others, my recommendation. Taking a walk, moments to the Metro North Station. I mean, literally getting to your job from your home right here. That is phenomenal. But it's not impossible. That's my point. When I see spaces like this, my mind automatically goes to buildings that welcome people, make a new home for someone. And I'm supportive of housing that's affordable, but also market rate, and also luxury, because people need a chance to move up to make space for others. So that's what I've been so focused on. And today we break ground on what is known as a transit-oriented development. In some communities, those are scary words. But come to Yonkers. See what we're talking about here. And this is going to be good for the community to strengthen it. Community pride when they see that, yes, this corner came back to life and it means something and people call it home. But also, it'll help protect our environment because people won't need to drive to their jobs. I've always believed in the great potential of Yonkers. I've known this community a long time. I came from a community, we joke about the cranes being here. When I grew up in Buffalo, my children until they were 30s had never seen one because nobody was building. So that's the world I come from. I appreciate seeing cranes and I love construction vehicles. I love people who honk horns too. It means the city's alive. But it's got such assets. It has charm and great buildings and diversity and great restaurants, and also has visionary leaders. And that's what pulls me back time and time again to Yonkers. I love coming here, but I also love the civic spirit that is so alive and well. And yes, it is undoubtedly a great source of pride, but also influence for this community to have as one of your own, the most powerful woman in our legislature, the most powerful leader in our legislature, Andrea Stewart-Cousins. And I want to thank her for her friendship. I have seen firsthand the challenges of navigating through her conference, and she does it like no other. And I do look forward to continuing to deepen our relationship, our friendship, because when we're working together, that means we're working for New York. And we're both committed to doing that, so thank you. I also have such a deep relationship with our county executive, George Latimer. I've seen him through some of the toughest times. And he always rises up. And his open spirit, that this is a community that welcomes people and says, yes, we can take care of you, you have a home here. That is emblematic of the values we cherish as New Yorkers. And thank you, George Latimer and Ken Jenkins and your administration for living that every single day. Let's give them a round of applause. And a mayor in Mike Spano. My God, he's energetic. And he's always pointing me, well, once we got a great project over here, it's like, well, I've got another one down here, and another one over here, another one over here. But I would be the same way. I came out of local government. And when you have a chance to get the ear of people and get their eyes on a project, you can win them over. And you've been so successful in celebrating this community. We've had many conversations, but I do believe on your leadership, this has been a transformed community. So thank you again, Mayor Mike Spano. Nader Sayed, we have a great assembly member representing you in the legislature who also is a great champion for this community, always fighting to get the resources to come back home here. Also, I know that Shelley Mayer represents part of Yonkers, and she couldn't be here today, but we've been working very, very closely together. And then for my team, Ruth Ann Visnauskas, I want everyone to give her a huge round of applause. She is a superstar. And she travels this state with that sense of optimism. She sees, as I do, possibilities in neighborhoods like this and in blocks like this. And through her leadership, we are doing the building that was suppressed for so long. We are finding a path forward, and we will get the job done. We are committed to building tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of new housing units right here in the state of New York under the leadership of Ruth Ann Visnoskas. Let's give her yet another round of applause. And then you have to have the private sector visionaries. We can talk all we want about, yes, let's build more housing, but we're relying on partners, people who also love their communities so deeply, people who see the possibilities where others walk past it and say, maybe in a few decades we'll do something. I want to thank Rella Fogliano, the CEO and founder of McQuestion. This is not our first project together. We have been at so many ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings from the Bronx to Mount Vernon a couple of years ago, and I'll keep coming because I know it's quality projects. You're so proud of them. And I've talked to the people who've had the benefit of living in them, and they are joyful. They're so happy to have a beautiful home. And so let's give a round of applause to Rella and Joe Epicella. Joe, same, it's just that energy. And I wish I could bottle all that up and spread all over the state because you're such optimists. You're such believers in this community. And that's what has made the difference in a place like Yonkers. It's people like all the individuals here. And of course, Paul Adler. He has been the broker of making dreams come true. That'll be your legacy, Paul. Giving people the dignity of a good home and a sense that they belong and that they matter. That's what these housing projects do. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause to Paul Adler. And consider the alternative. If we don't build more housing, if we keep the status quo, New Yorkers will suffer. They'll suffer directly. The cost of living is getting too high. That's the number one issue people talk about, is the high cost of living. And we can do something about it if we can take on the most expensive cost of living driver for them, that is their rent or their mortgages. Right there. We can add more housing stock. It's simple, supply and demand. You build more, the prices will come down. You have less, the prices go up. That's what New Yorkers are experiencing right now. And by building more on blocks like this, and next to the train station where it makes all the sense in the world, we can do this. But also opening up other communities and saying, don't be afraid of this, because this is where your children and your grandchildren can be raised. This is where our teachers and firefighters and police officers can live. This is where our healthcare workers can find a home near the hospital or nursing home they work. That's what we're talking about. Creating homes for people. And why that is so threatening, I don't understand. But we'll work with people. We'll figure it out. We'll get through it. And if we build more, they will come. But better yet, they'll stay. That's what I believe. So when I first became governor, we announced with the legislature a $25 billion affordable housing comprehensive plan to build 100,000 units in our state, and we're on track to hit that. And this July, I announced several executive actions to move this forward as well, offering incentives, also reducing some of the regulatory burdens. Think about this. There's so many projects that are stymied because there's so much red tape. And I spent time as a local official, elected official. I was town board. I was liaison to the planning board, to the zoning board, to the traffic safety board. So every project that wanted to go anywhere had to come through and be seen by me. So I know all the ways that communities can throw up hurdles and that state government regulations can be a barrier. And people sometimes just say, I'm out of here. I'm walking. This is just too much. We have to change that dynamic. We have to open up the process and make it easier for people to build because we need them. And also, I've directed my team to identify every single state-owned property that can be converted into new life. If I go past a train station on Metro North, Long Island Railroad in the city, and I see an empty parking lot that by day may have some vehicles in it, but at night looks like there's tumbleweed blowing through it, there's no life, I'm visualizing a 5-story building with first floor coffee shops and a restaurant, place to buy the newspaper. Then we can put some parking so you can double or triple the parking in a downtown area. And then you can put different levels of housing affordable all the way up to luxury on the rooftop, and why not have a restaurant on the top? I see that every single day, and there's proof of it. But we need to open up this idea to others, those communities that are resistant, because this is the future. This is how we can keep New Yorkers right here and give them, as Paul mentioned, a home, because we're bringing the jobs. We're bringing thousands of jobs here all over our state. But if people can't find a place to live, they're going to Connecticut and they're going to New Jersey, because here's the flash, news flash. They're eating our lunch when it comes to building housing. They're building so much more. Every area, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Boston, double, triple the amount of housing in the suburban areas than we're doing right here in New York. So it's not going to work, my friends. We have to jumpstart the building of more housing. And in time, people will look back at us and say, we had the guts to do this, overcome barriers. But we did it together. And now look at us. Now look at New York. And that's what I'm committed to. I believe that good, affordable housing is a human right. I've said that all my life. My parents were involved in integrating white neighborhoods back in the 60s when I was a little kid. They were the founders of an organization locally called Housing Opportunities Made Equal. I believe in this to my core. And now as governor, to be in a position to do something about that, to open up our communities and give people homes, that's something I cherish. The opportunity to work with the people here, the people who believe in communities like Yonkers and those communities all over the state that are looking for the same kind of enlightened leadership that we have right here. So thank you, everyone. Look forward to seeing not just this groundbreaking, but I love the ribbon cuttings even more. So invite me back, Rella. Thank you. Congratulations.
Good seeing you. Thank you for coming. It means the world to us.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, if everyone would remain seated, we're going to have a brief ceremony and then get right back to our program. Thank you.
You can't get dirty.
Good to see you. How's everything?
Good. How are your holidays?
Good.
So far.
So far, yes.
Can we actually span out just a little bit, just so we're sort of like in this line right here, just so we don't have your back.
Oh, yes.
We're gonna do this on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. We're gonna do one more photo.
And look here, Susan.
Right here, please. Thank you. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you.
Stay there, don't move, please. We gotta do it for the video. Stay here for the video. All of it, the cameras move out the way. Stay here for the video.
Go guys, go guys.
Awesome.
They're making us really shuffle, huh? All right, 1, 2.
Hold on, stand by. Cameraman's in charge.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
Let me continue this program. Sorry?
Let's move it straight for the camera.
Okay. All right, let's resume our program. If everyone could once again be seated. At this time, I want to take this opportunity. I want to take this opportunity to identify some individuals that are critical to this project. As the governor indicated, this was quite a team effort. I want to thank Assemblyman Nader Sayegh. Nader, thank you so much for supporting us. Senator Assemblymember Gary Pretlow, who couldn't be with us this morning, but I want to thank Gary. As the governor prominently mentioned, the Commissioner of Housing and Community Renewal, who's a dynamo and terrific to work with, Ruth Ann Visnoskis. Ruth, thank you so much for coming. I want to also identify the Acting Commissioner of Planning for Westchester County who's here, Blanca Lopez. Blanca, thank you. Right up front. Also want to identify Leonard Grunfeld, the Program Director with Community Development, Westchester County. Leonard. The President of the County Association is with us, Michael Romita. Michael, thank you for coming. City of Yonkers, Deputy Mayor and good friend of mine and my family, Anthony Landy. Tony. Our Commissioner and the former Deputy Mayor of Yonkers, Jim Kavanaugh. The Buildings Commissioner is with us, Sam Borelli. Sam, thank you. The President and CEO of the Municipal Housing Authority, Wilson Kimball, is here. The Executive Director of the Yonkers IDA, Jamie McGill. Jamie, thank you. Our Public Works Commissioner, without him, the streets don't get plowed, the trash doesn't get picked up, Tom Meyer. Tom? And last but certainly not least, my wife, 52-time Emmy Award-winning reporter, Tara Rosenblum, right here. Let's continue. 52. She's nominated for 8 more. Anyway, at this time, what I'd like to do is call up someone who I've known most of my life, and there's nothing easy about the job he's done. The first thing he got to pick up when he came into office was hurricanes and thereafter pandemic. So I want to bring forward a really fantastic, steady hand, both fiscally and in terms of services, George Latimer. George?
Thank you, Joe, and it's great to be in Yonkers for this wonderful moment, and we really appreciate the fact that the governor could join us for that. She's been with us in Harrison and some other locations where we've shown that this spirit that we have today is not limited to any one location, but it's across the board in so many parts of our county. I think about something that's every other man would have the same thought of. Joe Apicella would. Ken Jenkins, our Deputy County Executive, was here. The aforementioned Jim Kavanaugh and Nader Sage and other men who are here. We may be fathers of children, but we don't know what it's like to give birth to a child. We may be there to help nurture the baby from the moment of birth, but we did not go through what the women went through for months of pregnancy and delivery of childbirth. Only a woman understands that. And in moments like this, those of us in public office who've contributed resources to the completion of a project like this understand what our role was in making it happen, but the birthing of this project belongs to the people who developed it, that had the vision and the drive day after day. Consider acquisition of a site, preparation of the site, and what kinds of problems go into a site when you first look at it for the potential of housing. To develop a design that works physically, to come up with the financing to make it work, to come up with all of the right set of construction professionals to do it, and in putting that together, what kind of help can you get from the municipal government, the city, the county, the state? Lots of working parts. So you get to a day like today, and Rella Fogliano, Joe Apicella, and the people in McQuestion can give birth to something that we all take pride in. But only that person knows how much you went through, Rella, to make this day possible. And Joe, by her side, that is a tremendous accomplishment. We ought to really appreciate it and really applaud it. Let me close by saying that there was a time approximately 20 some odd years ago when Andrea Stewart Cousins and I were county legislators. We sat on the 8th floor of the county office building as legislators. And while we dealt with whatever the issue of the day was, and we had plenty of them, we would talk a lot about what we wanted to see happen in government and what could we do as county legislators to try to make that happen. Fast forward 5-7 years later, Mike Spano and I sat in the Assembly conference room, the same place that Nader sits today. We were 2 Assembly members and we would talk about, gee, if we could do this, and we shouldn't do this, and we should do that, and we had those conversations. Now, it comes to our good grace that Mike Spano is the mayor of the city of Yonkers. It comes to our good grace that Andrea Stewart-Cousins leads the New York State Senate. And along with my friend Ken Jenkins, it comes to pass that we have the opportunity in the county government to run the county government from the executive branch. We have been given the opportunity to work with developers like Rilla and help develop these things. And that is a gift that we weren't sure we would have. So in this audience are people like Shanae Williams, who's a councilwoman who we believe will be a county legislator. We have John Rubo, a councilman, who has a great upside future. Young elected officials. We have Blanca Lopez in her position right now. And what today is a statement of today, but it's a statement about tomorrow. It's a statement about how other people in this room, in due time, will get the good fortune that Mike and Andrea and I have had to make government work in partnership to help create something like this. And that partner at the state level, unparalleled, has been Andrea Stewart-Cousins. I had the chance to introduce her this morning in a completely different context. I've seen this woman in public policy settings at both the county and the state show leadership and naturally have people gravitate to her because of her ability to look at, identify, and solve problems. And Lord knows, to accomplish anything in government, county or state, right now take a look at federal government, and see what it takes to accomplish those things. That is what she's done. She's a daughter of Yonkers, by way of the Bronx, and by way of Manhattan. And I guess Albany claims you now too. Our state Senate Majority Leader, Andrea Stewart-Cousins.
So, yeah. So much goes through my mind. And I always say, after I listen to George, he makes me think about 1,000 things that I could say when I have an opportunity to speak. And one of the things that I do want to say, George, as always, is that it has been a pleasure knowing you throughout these years and watching you become the leader that you are. I mean, and I had the opportunity to vote for you to be chair of the board way back then, and I knew there were great things ahead, but you have been really extraordinary for this county and certainly for all of us to work with you, so thank you. Yes. And I will say, I think when I first got into government, the mayor was in the assembly, and I have all kinds of stories about the mayor, but I have said this. This is a thriving city. I love it. Yes. But when I was in city government and he was in the assembly, I knew that for some reason we would work together. I didn't know that we'd have all the twists and turns, but I will say that I have been able to stand by his side during his leadership in some of the most extraordinary, transformative projects that this city has ever known. So thank you, Mayor Spano, for all that you do. You continue to do. We were at a workforce development just before we came here, talking about making sure people have job opportunities, because they have to have jobs to be able to live in these developments. And before that, I was with the county executive in one of the beginning conversations of celebrating 250 years of this country, the semi-quincentennial for those of you. And one of the things that I said was that one of the first things I did in city government when I had the privilege of working with Joe Apicella, Joe, you come a long way since then too, just developing, you're still developing downtown. Thank you, you never forgot. But remember in 1992, one of the first things we had to do was try and save Phillips Manor Hall. Phillips Manor Hall that was in this part of town, which was, yes, neglected. They used to call it Ghetto Square. and they didn't want to bother with it. And our interim county legislator, Simba Brandon, knows it well, as does Ken, and the struggles that happened right here. And they were going to just shut down Phillips Manor Hall. I'm happy to be part of state government that just invested, along with the leadership of this governor, $20 million to rehabilitate that hall because it's so important. All of this matters, and all of it ties together. And I think the most important thing that we are going to say today that nobody said is that it matters who's sitting in these seats, who emphasizes what. Everybody needs housing, and Paul Adler has been a master of development as well as politics and so on throughout our state. And the reality is everybody needs housing. But everybody can't afford it, yes. And we've got to meet people where they are. And we need every level of income to contribute to the vibrancy of our economy and of our great city. The reason why I am so happy to be here is that Rella, who I met many years ago, and with Joe's outstanding assistance, has focused on affordable housing. When people tell you they can't do it, yeah, you can. And not only can you do it, you could do it in a way that brings dignity not only to the people walking in that door, but upgrades the entire community. That is important. And as the governor says, and be clear, we all know the importance of housing on every level, and we are committed to work together to make sure that housing gets built. We also have to keep people in their homes, and we also have to make sure that, yeah, when my kids or my grandkids need some place to live, there's thousands, I think you said, Mayor, there's about 4,000 market rate houses here. Right here. Not that much is affordable. Thank you for making my community more affordable. Congratulations. Oh, gosh. I can't leave. I got to thank my delegation. I am sorry. Westchester County is the best delegation ever. Shelley couldn't be here, as you know. Gary's not here. Nader is here. And thank you. Thank you so much for an amazing partnership.
How great is it that the two most influential, impactful leaders in the state of New York are both women? How great is that? I want to also identify Council Member John Rubo, very dear friend. John, thank you for supporting. I think Andrea mentioned County Legislator Simra Brandon. Simra, you do it all. You do it all. And then, of course, Tasha Diaz. Tasha, where are you?
She's here.
Oh, there you are. We met in your office last time, right? It does take a team effort, and without government. Oh, I also want to, I'm sorry. Shanae, I'm sorry. Hi, Shanae. See, when you're on the end, my peripheral vision isn't what it used to be. Be that as it may, at this particular time, I'd like to bring up someone that everyone is talking about this morning. And she is a visionary. She is someone who looks at these properties and says, why not? Why not high quality, affordable housing? Her theme has always been, and she has directed her architects and designers, take a look at our rendering outside. There is no way you can distinguish that from any luxury building. And every one of our buildings, because everybody deserves to have a decent, high-quality roof over their heads. That's how we believe. That's how we believe. And having said that, I want to introduce to you the president and CEO of this company, McQuestion Development, Rella Fogliano.
Hi, everyone, and thank you all for being here. I'm going to start with a quick story. It's very appropriate that Joseph and I are here together. Joe and I met over 30 years ago when you were in Yonkers city government.
That's right.
And he talked so much about trying to get something done at the waterfront. Years passed. You went on to develop extraordinary housing, but very luxurious throughout Westchester County. And 10 years ago, I was very fortunate that Joe decided to come and work with the McQuestion Development Company. And what was the first thing Joe said? Rella, why aren't you doing market rate luxury housing in Yonkers? I said, Joe, I'm never going to do market rate, and I'm never going back to Yonkers. And why is that? 15 years ago, I tried so hard to develop 88 units for low-income seniors at 34 Highland Avenue. The administration in Yonkers was not helpful at all. I had to fight. It took about 3 years to get the approval, and all we needed was to reduce the parking by 13 parking spaces. And I had so much trouble, but of course, as the hard-headed Italian woman that I am, I forged forward, and we really developed something very beautiful for seniors, and it was a great success. And Senator, you were there cutting the ribbon. The mayor did not even show up. But we went forward and we did it. And we're fortunate to be here again today. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, all of you. Thank you to, and I get a little bit nervous up here, so I am going to refer to a little bit to my notes. So I do want to thank the mayor and his entire administration for really helping us to get this done, all of the approvals and the financial help that you've given us to make this project move forward and bring us here today. And I'm sorry that I'm having a hard time. I'm a little bit emotional. So yes, if it wasn't for the help of the Yonkers and also the administration of George Latimer, Ken Jenkins, thank you for all of what you've done to get this and to make this possible, and we're going to make you proud. I also want to thank the team at Wells Fargo, because without the private investment and for taking a chance on us, it's our first time working together, and we are going to make you proud as well. I especially want to thank the state of New York. And Ruth Ann, we've been together for a long time. I remember you with HPD, and now you're with the state, and the state has been a great support. I also want to give a shout out to Allison, who I'm so surprised is here, our underwriter, who made us get to the finish line. So thank you all, and we'll welcome all of you back for a ribbon cutting.
We're just about completed. And I want to tell you all, once upon completion of the program, please join us at La Bella Havana. Great food if you haven't eaten there before. Amazing food. That's why they've been there so long, right? They're terrific. Rella touched a little bit for a moment or two on the private investment. And when Rella said to me, Wells Fargo is going to be the tax credit investor, and she sent me the gentleman's name, I said, wait a minute, I know that gentleman. And ironically, he and I served on a board of directors of a condo, of a co-op actually, that I was involved in building in New Rochelle. And it's just been a great continued relationship. I want to bring forward a top executive with the Wells Fargo organization, Gregory Richards. Greg?
Hey, Greg. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It is such a beautiful day in Yonkers today. You know, after all the several days of rain, we have the sunshine coming and allowing us to celebrate, you know, this wonderful occasion. And it is a great occasion. It is a milestone that, you know, would not have been achieved, and everyone has touched on it. You know, would not have been achieved without the vision of Rella and Joe and all their colleagues at McQuestion Development, and with the support of the public and private sector, you know, who are key partners in this project. And at this time, you know, I'd like to take the opportunity, you know, to thank Governor Hochul, Mayor Spano, Majority Leader Stuart Cousins, Senator Mayor, Assemblymember Sage, County Executive Latimer, and ACI Commissioner Ruth Ann Wisnoskis for your leadership and your commitment to housing, and not just housing, but affordable housing, you know, for all New Yorkers. What we do, we know today that what we do is more important than ever. And why is that? Because this project in St. Clair is going to bring much needed affordable housing to the city of Yonkers, and also bring commercial activity and the opportunity for business and economic revitalization. So thank you. Now, in about, I want to say 2 years ago, I'm keeping you on track.
About 2 years.
About 2 years from now, the St. Clair is going to rise. And when I think of the St. Clair, and I'm going to borrow a page from Rella's book. You know, she said in the past that her projects blur the lines between luxury and affordability. And I personally can't wait, you know, to come back when the building is open and see the reactions of the residents when they walk into the completed building, and have the ability to enjoy spacious apartments with excellent finishes, and have project amenities, you know, such as a rooftop lounge, expansive fitness center, resident lounge, you know, not just for the market rate development, you know, but, you know, having development, you know, for all New Yorkers. So again, in closing, you know, I'd like to thank Joe and Rella, you know, for giving us at Wells Fargo, you know, putting your trust in us, you know, to being a key partner, you know, in financing this building today. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. We look forward to many, many more. I will tell you, as a brief preview, to key off Rella's story, and the program is completed. We love Yonkers so much that we have gotten involved in another project over on South Broadway. You will be seeing that shortly. You'll be seeing a groundbreaking there, a 16-story, beautiful, luxury, affordable building, the former site of the Lincoln Park Mercury on South Broadway. So look forward to the next project. We're nowhere near slowing down. I want to once again thank our team out there, Anthony Bonapastor, his team, Tim, and all of our people, Gilbert, and all of the people who helped to make this happen. Our professional team, Diana Kolov, who's terrific, Jacqueline, Tyler, John. I mean, the entire team has helped to make this happen. And I think I saw Ceci here, Fawad, Daran from SESI, great team. Thank you all for coming. Join us for lunch. Enjoy the beautiful day, a lot of sunshine.